The delivery room was silent, too silent. Mrs. Wu stared down at her newborn, a knot of dread tightening in her stomach. The baby's eyes were open, tracking, but no sound escaped her lips. Then, the second twin arrived, and a piercing wail filled the room. Relief washed over Wu, quickly followed by a chilling realization something was profoundly wrong. In those early days, the twins, Shirtai and Shirhong, were easy. Too easy. They were eerily quiet, content to simply exist. Months turned into a year, and still no coos, no babbles, no cries. Mr. and Mrs. Wu started to worry that their children might be facing some problems. They consulted doctors, of course, but the doctors found nothing physically wrong. They suggested it might just be their temperament, that some babies are simply quieter than others. But the Wus couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was at play. Then, in 1990, while doing housework, Wu was startled by the sound of her children crying. It wasn't a gentle whimper, but a full-blown, heart-wrenching wail. She rushed to their room, frantically searching for injuries. Nothing. They just wailed for minutes, their tiny faces contorted in what seemed like ancient sorrow. And Wu was overjoyed. Finally, normal children. But the crying stopped as abruptly as it started, replaced by an unsettling silence. It was as if they had released some pent-up emotion, only to retreat back into their enigmatic stillness. Another oddity. Shirtai always preferred the bed, meticulously arranging her blankets and pillows, as if accustomed to a certain level of comfort. Shirhong, on the other hand, insisted on sleeping on the bare floor, often curled up in a fetal position, as if seeking solace in the cold, hard ground. It was as if they were drawn to different realms of comfort, or perhaps haunted by memories of different lives. 3 years passed, and then came the day that shattered their reality. Wu overheard voices coming from the twins' bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, and she could hear the murmur of conversation. As any mother would, she crept closer, eager to hear her children's first words. But what she heard wasn't childish babble. It was a coherent conversation, filled with adult concerns, unfamiliar names, and places she'd never been. They spoke of rice paddies, of ancient temples, of a bustling marketplace filled with exotic goods. They spoke of loves lost and lives cut short. Frozen with fear, Wu could only listen, her mind struggling to comprehend the impossible. It was like eavesdropping on the ghosts of the past, their voices echoing through the bodies of her young daughters. Little did she know, her twin daughters were about to become the center of one of the most controversial reincarnation stories ever told. In 1991, the twins dropped a bombshell. They started insisting their real names were Nianchu and Yun, and that they actually lived in Pingyang Township. Now, Pingyang Township was just a few towns over, but when the twins mentioned it, a chill ran down Mrs. Wu's spine. You see, Pingyang Township had a secret, a quirky, unsettling secret. Turns out, Pingyang Township was like the Bermuda Triangle of reincarnation. Over 100 people had returned to this town, claiming it as their true home. These folks were born at different times, in different places, and some of their parents had never even heard of Pingyang Township. Yet when they arrived, they knew the roads, the people, everything. It was as if they were guided by an invisible map, etched into their very souls. They'd search for their old houses, their old families, their old grudges, and things could get messy. Some even sought revenge for their past lives, leading to a bit of chaos, shall we say. There were stories of long-lost lovers reunited, of family feuds reignited, and of old scores settled with a vengeance. The town had become a living tapestry of past lives, woven into the fabric of the present. Back to the twins. As their story spread, the neighbors started whispering, and eventually, the whispers reached Pingyang Township. A couple heard the tale and decided to investigate. They were an elderly pair, their faces etched with the sorrow of loss. One of the names the twins kept mentioning was the name of their deceased son. So, they traveled to the Wu's town, found their house, and before they could even say hello, one of the twins called out, "Mom, Dad." The Wu couple, understandably bewildered, invited them in. The air in the small house crackled with unspoken tension, and that's when Shirtai Wu, or rather, Yin-Chu, began to tell his story. He described their house in Pingyang Township in vivid detail, the layout, colors, even the names of the neighbors. He spoke of a koi pond in the garden, of a swing hanging from an ancient willow tree, of a hidden compartment in the wall where he used to hide his treasures. It was like he'd never left, his memories as vivid as if they had happened yesterday. The couple from Pingyang Township got choked up when he started talking about his death. Apparently, back in early 1987, Yin-Chu had been a bit of a rascal. He committed some unnamed transgression against his parents, resulting in a serious scolding. Perhaps he'd stolen some fruit from the market, or maybe he'd gotten into a fight with a neighborhood bully. Whatever it was, it had been enough to incur his parents' wrath. His best friend, Ichunyao, was in the same boat. So, in a moment of teenage angst, fueled by hormones and a sense of injustice, they decided to go out with a bang, or rather, pesticide cocktail. They downed a whole lot of it, and their bodies were discovered soon after, lying side by side in a field of wildflowers, their young lives tragically cut short. The twins then rattled off the exact date, the type of pesticide, and the location of their demise, which the Pingyang Township couple confirmed with a mix of horror and disbelief. Yin-Chu's parents, interviewed in 2015, were still haunted by the tragedy. His father expressed immense regret, acknowledging that he played a part in his son's fateful decision. He spoke of the harsh words he had spoken, of the missed opportunities to show his son love and understanding. It was a burden he would carry for the rest of his days. Talk about awkward family reunions. Anyway, they eventually returned to Pingyang Township, their hearts heavy with grief and a strange sense of wonder. After much deliberation, they decided to let Yin-Chu, or rather Shirtai, stay with the Wu couple. They reasoned that perhaps this was a chance for him to experience a different life, a life free from the shadows of his past. I guess some things are just too weird, even for reincarnated kids. Niansu and Yun kicked the bucket on the same day in 1987. Spooky, right? A month later, they were born again at the same time. Talk about efficient reincarnation. When they turned 8, they got to visit Pingyang Township and hang out with their old families. The twins also revealed why they slept so much as babies. Apparently, they were astral projecting back to their past lives in their dreams. It's like they had a cosmic DVR playing on repeat, allowing them to relive their memories and reconnect with their former selves. Because the twin story became a viral sensation, well, as viral as things got before the internet, they even ended up in a book. The book became a local bestseller, sparking even more interest in Pingyang Township and its supposed reincarnation phenomenon. But as I mentioned before, Pingyang Township is crawling with these stories. Take the case of Quan, for example. He met a woman in the 90s. They got hitched, had kids, the whole shebang. Their life was simple but happy, filled with the joys and challenges of raising a family in a small town. Then, in 2010, tragedy struck, and his wife passed away after a long illness. Quan remained a widower until 2017, his heart aching with the absence of his beloved wife. Then, one day, a family showed up at his doorstep. Their 6-year-old daughter ran up to him, sobbing, and declared that she was his ex-wife, Sian Wallong. Naturally, Quan was skeptical. He was a practical man, not prone to flights of fancy. But the kid knew his wife's name, and she was born in a town far from Pingyang Township. Her name was Runchu, and from a young age, she'd been telling her parents that she lived in Pingyang Township. After some digging, they finally found the place. When they arrived, Runchu started navigating the streets like she owned the town, pointing out landmarks and greeting people she had never met in this life. and when she saw Quan, she burst into tears and gave him a hug that felt strangely familiar, as if they had embraced countless times before. Quan still wasn't convinced, until Runchu started recounting details about their first meeting, their wedding, and their favorite hangouts. She remembered the song that was playing when they first met, the color of her dress on their wedding day, and the name of the small restaurant where they used to have their weekly date nights. It was enough to make him a believer, or at least to open his mind to the possibility that something extraordinary was happening. After that, Runchu and her parents went back home, and she started her new life, leaving Quan to grapple with the implications of this incredible encounter. Despite these stories, plenty of people still scoff at the strange goings-on in Pingyang Township. They dismiss it as folklore, as mass hysteria, or as an elaborate hoax designed to attract tourists. But even reporters and locals can't explain why this place is a magnet for reincarnation tales. Is it just their culture and beliefs? Are they making it all up to reinforce their faith? Or is it one of those mysteries that even science can't crack? So naturally, Pingyang Township has attracted its fair share of attention. Reporters and journalists have flocked to the area to investigate these bizarre stories, hoping to uncover the truth behind the reincarnation phenomenon. They've interviewed the returnees, skeptics, and local historians, trying to piece together a coherent explanation. There are even articles and YouTube videos about it, though you'll need to brush up on your Mandarin to understand them. They've interviewed some of the returnees, who claim to remember their past lives with startling clarity. They speak of past loves, past traumas, and past triumphs, their voices filled with a mixture of nostalgia and regret. They claim to have access to memories and knowledge they could not possibly have acquired in this lifetime. One particularly chilling case involves a man who died in an accident. He was impaled by a sharp object, which pierced straight through his body. Gruesome, I know, but get this. A few months later, a child was born in a faraway place with a birthmark on both sides of his body, mirroring the entry and exit wounds of the deceased man. And when he grew up, he claimed to have lived in Pingyang Township and recounted the details of his death, complete with the impaling incident. He even knew the name of the man who had accidentally killed him, and the circumstances surrounding the tragic event. Talk about leaving a mark. In 2015, some journalists tried to track down the twins, Shirtai and Shirhongwu, but they'd flown the coop, gotten married, and were living elsewhere, trying to lead normal lives away from the spotlight of their past. The only person they could interview was their mother, who shared some eerie details about their birth. When the first kid came out, she didn't cry at all. We thought she must be dead, until the second kid came out. They cried together. She also mentioned their unnerving silence as babies and their peculiar sleeping habits. The older one likes to sleep on the inside of the bed, and the younger one likes to sleep on the outside of the bed. These small details, seemingly insignificant on their own, added to the overall sense of mystery and strangeness surrounding the twins. Years passed, and one day, the second daughter dropped a bombshell. Her name wasn't Shirhong. It was something else entirely. Naturally, her parents were skeptical, but she kept insisting that her real home wasn't here. It was in some other village. She even started describing the details of her past life and how she died, adding another layer to the already complex tapestry of reincarnation stories in Pingyang Township. Not long after, the sister's mom in Pingyang Village heard about this. The news spread like wildfire, adding fuel to the ongoing debate about the authenticity of the reincarnation phenomenon. What do you make of the Pingyang Township Enigma? Is it a genuine case of reincarnation, a cultural phenomenon, a mass delusion, or simply a collection of tall tales? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Have you ever experienced something that made you question the nature of reality? We want to hear your stories. And if you're brave enough to delve deeper into the world of the strange and unexplained, be sure to subscribe for more spine-chilling stories that will keep you up at night.